Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to look at the subreddit r/entitledparents, where people tell us their stories of crazy mums and dads who think they're entitled just because they have kids. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some Reddit stories. Mum tries to kick me out of dad's house, kicks herself out instead. The cast: M, my mum; O, me, who's 18; capital T and lowercase t, two small brothers. Capital T is 13 and lowercase t is 6. So, some backstory. Mum basically expects us to act as her servants, while she does the bare minimum of being a mother and has a long history of abuse. Her and dad have divorced now since she wanted to be free. She is also a failure by all accounts. A chain-smoking housewife with no skills or friends, or anyone who loves her for that matter. She is kept around because small T gets really sad without her, even though she is bad to him too, so my dad can't quite tell her to go away. Keep this in mind. So me and dad go out for some breakfast shopping. I come home. Mum asks me to get her some cheese because she likes cheese. I oblige. After about an hour, she decides to get out of bed. Yelling commences immediately. Apparently Big T didn't hear her request to make the tea. So, of course, she is my mum and angry, she gets to treat me like crap, when I literally did nothing bad. And tea over a simple issue. And I get yelled at to fix all the beds in the house and berated for how unsuccessful I am, for having taken a gap year and just how stupid I am, etc. I knowingly didn't do the best job at fixing the beds, because after 18 years of serving this spoiled woman, I don't want to keep doing it, as she calls us spoiled. She gets madder, calls us to the kitchen, we go. She instantly starts doing more straight up unfair insulting, as we say nothing out of respect, and instilled fear because when we were small, any rebellion would get you slapped. I decide to turn around and leave the room. She grabs me in the corridor and tells me to get out of her house. Dad owns it, and she has no right since they are divorced. I tell her it's my house as much as it's hers, and she can't kick me out. She repeats, and I dare her to try something. She only says, "Okay, I'm leaving then," and is dumbfounded when I don't beg her to stay and hurt me and my brothers more. So I decide to take a shower and let this all blow over. No need to explode on her and cause her to have a breakdown or try to hit me. This woman comes in halfway through my shower and yells at me to leave. I tell her okay and to wait for me outside the shower. I get out. She is still demanding I leave. I snap. I state that I don't want her to be a nice caring mom. I want her to back off her unrealistic expectations and insulting, aka show respect. She openly says she won't respect us, so I rip into her for being the awful mum and massive selfish failure she is. She proceeds to threaten to call the cops and I dare her to do it. Dad somehow gets wind of this, comes in the house, tries to get us to talk it out. Mum tries to basically get him to support her and have me kicked out. It backfires as my dad has finally stopped helping act like a spoiled child. She gets up and leaves. After 18 years, I finally made a stand for myself and my brothers, and it ended up unexpectedly well. I was laughing. She genuinely thought and still thinks that we couldn't manage without her, and I guess tried to prove her point and failed miserably. It was like the most nice and peaceful day we had in weeks, Lamau. Of course, being the strong, independent woman she is, she didn't even last a day outside. Ironic considering she was yelling at me over how she could do fine outside, but my butt would starve. The mess only continued, but that's for part 2 if this gets enough attention. Thanks for reading. I'm gonna go straight into part 2. Mum tries to kick me out, I pull the reverse card, part 2. Part 1 was where my mum raged at me and my brothers over nothing, tried to kick me out when I refused to listen to her BS. She then left when she couldn't get her way. Also a teaser, I almost literally get brain damage this part. Context for this part, I love my dad. He tries his best, but he's just a bit too emotional sometimes, I guess. And during this part, we do come at odds. Make of that if you will, but he has no ill intent. What's also relevant is I've been debating semi-professionally to professionally for 6 years, and have a capability of being really cold. It's a self-protection mechanism, and helps me keep rational, but comes off as heartless. So immediately after my mum leaves, Dad calls me in. We speak about how mum is so spoiled and entitled, how she refuses to get help to be a better person, etc. He confides in me that he decided to leave the house and leave us with her earlier because Small T would get so upset despite him knowing it's worse for him as well, but realised that wasn't going to work. I strongly advised just let her go. He seemed to mostly agree, but he's way more emotional than I am. Also, mum is his first girlfriend for what it's worth. He did agree and said he wasn't holding her back from leaving really, which is kind of a lie as evidenced before and in this part. At night of course, mum comes back. Dad pulls us all in the kitchen to talk it over. Mum immediately launches into a rant, basically demanding service and acting like any of the stuff she just pulls is justified. I tell her I just want to be respected. She makes the argument that we need to fulfill basically all her unrealistic expectations for her to merely treat us like humans. I tell her she also has to compromise, and even if we upset her, she has no right to do the level of degrading she does. Dad backs me up and also states that me doing a gap year out of choice isn't equivalent to being a failure when she starts on that. She pulls a couple of things about how she can't be replaced, as much as she does less than a maid would, and abuses us on top of that. And we argue on that, but not much. I'm no longer really pulling punches to be honest. Dad is sort of upset that I don't speak much about my issues, but I say I made my point clear and didn't do anything wrong. I just want to be treated decently and have her tone down her expectations of us. A bunch of yelling occurs. "You came out of me, you ungrateful POS!" being a highlight. She storms out of the kitchen without backing down even a tiny bit and says, "You can apologise whenever you want." I snap back with, "You too." She gets mad and angry and yells disrespect. She leaves the kitchen, starts prepping to leave again, but Dad holds her up. They have some amount of fighting and yelling occur between them. I start preparing coffee to lower tension and pass the time instead of argue and contribute to all the yelling already present. Also partially to keep my laughs contained. She comes toward the kitchen having done an awful pack-up job holding a big solid wooden hairbrush. I am still prepping my coffee and hugging my brothers to calm them. She yeets her brush directly at my head, thankfully missing, and yells about how I didn't even try to stop her once. Dad finally snaps and yells at her how she has no right to physically hurt or kick her children out of the house. Mum tries to say some more stuff. I yell, apologise about not having any Stockholm syndrome, more yelling. They go to their bedroom again. Me and my bros move to the living room as me and Big T try to keep Small T in check, as the small boy makes futile attempts to stop the fighting. Now keep in mind I have been rock solid throughout this, not a flinch in my voice, not any effort to compromise or be nicer to her than she was to me. I was also kind of upset at my dad for basically lying to her that she shouldn't take me too seriously because I am a child and expecting me to basically be the bigger person at the same time. So I'm not backing down one tiny bit. Dad kinda gets upset because I am not emotional over Small T's cries, as if a 6-year-old's opinions over anything are to be trusted in deciding the fate of an entire household. Dad tells me I am being too cold. I tell him I'm doing what's best for all of us and to suck it up and keep his word and let her go. He sighs, but knowing I am right doesn't fight it. They talk and argue with my mum a bit more, not yell fighting at least this time. I don't know what magic he did, but he convinced mum to stay and not be a rage monster. Mum's been treating me and my brothers much better since then, but I know it's all a facade and temporary, and I think my dad does too. He still fails to understand that small T will be better off once the initial shock wears off. Not like she does much actual mothering to him anyways. He just loves him regardless, and is basically trying to find a way to replace Mum with more than a maid and will talk to grandma, etc. I'm just happy he isn't considering leaving us alone with her just because he can't say no to small T anymore. That's kind of a messed up situation. It kinda sucks that that kid seems like the most adult person in the household. Entitled mother tried to get me arrested for speaking her language. Not a chance. Before this one starts, it contains Chinese Mandarin, and I'm really rusty on my Mandarin, so I'm sorry if it's awful. In my last post, I spoke about how I've spoken Chinese, Mandarin, for around 4 years. At the time of the story, I had about 1.5 years of experience, but let's get the basics out of the way. Me obviously, EM entitled mum, NC nice child, Sally my amazing friend, name changed, and SB Starbucks employee. When I was starting to learn Chinese, I met up with my friend weekly at our local Starbucks who was fluent in Chinese and agreed to practice with me. I would buy her favourite frappe, and in return I would get 45 minutes of pure practice. This is also what contributed to me learning really rapidly. Sally, I love you. So me and Sally would sit at this table outside of Starbucks, since the inside was really stuffy, and practice our Chinese. Our conversations would kind of go like this. The Chinese version. Me, 你好吗? Sally, 我很好，谢谢。你呢？我也很好。你喜欢吃什么？我喜欢吃牛肉包子。你呢？我喜欢吃苹果。你的爱好是什么？哼，我的爱好是睡觉。Sally faceplants. And the English version. Me, hello, how are you? Sally, I am very good, thank you. How about you? I am also very good. What do you like to eat? I like to eat beef steamed buns. And you? I like to eat apples. What is your hobby? Me going to let my response go untranslated as a little Easter egg to those who can speak Chinese. Sally faceplants. What you said in Chinese, if you want to know, is my hobby is sleeping, which I can relate a lot to. So basically, me and Sally were just having basic conversations. One day, as we were talking, a little girl, nice kid, comes up to us. She is Asian, and from her understanding of our conversation, likely Chinese. I don't want to stereotype. What if she is a Korean who speaks Chinese? Are you speaking Chinese? Yes, I'm practicing my Chinese. Wow, you are really good. Quick to put in here that any white person can impress a Chinese by just saying ni hao, or hello. Like, I'll say that and they just look at me like I'm a god. Thank you. 你会说中文吗? Or can you speak Chinese? How? Yes. At this moment, entitled mother walks over. Are you speaking Chinese to my daughter? Yes, I am. She was helping me practice along with my friend. Your daughter is very sweet. I'm going to call 911 on you. Whoa, that was a big 180 turn. Why? What did I do wrong? You're speaking Chinese. That's identity theft. No, it's not. I'm learning another language. It's identity theft. Police! Police! A Starbucks employee immediately runs out of the coffee shop because this lady is screaming like a banshee and asks what is going on. This lady is impersonating a Chinese. Ma'am, I'm just practicing my Chinese with a friend. The employee clearly recognizes me and my friend from our weekly meetings and turns to entitled mother. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Entitled mother just screams, grabs nice kid and leaves. Well, at least she listened. Did she think she would belong up on malicious compliance? That was a bit of a 180 turn, wasn't it? Just randomly out of the blue, I'm gonna call the police. Like, okay woman. Like I said, I'm sorry for my awful Chinese. If you speak it fluently, I probably sounded awful. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.